About yourself. It's about you. Who are you? What informs your being? Where will the confidence come from if you are mimicking people who don't like you? How did we end up hating ourselves to the extent that we even hate our names? We hate our languages. We think we are embarrassed to say we like the food we grow. How about our traditions? I'm sure you have a lot to tell. So, it brings me to the gist of my presentation. And the point
today is Tuesday. Thank you kindly for choosing Pan-African Television. My name is Kwame Owusu Danso. This is certainly the most watched morning show in Africa. Good morning, Africa. Live on your station, Pan-African Television. We're broadcasting here in Abelinkwe across 32 African countries. And you are the reason why the morning show is what it is. So every morning when I get the opportunity to sit here, I exceptionally, always want to doff my hat to every one of you who has been kind enough to contribute significantly to the success of the morning show. So thank you very kindly to all our viewers from across the length and breadth of this country and from across the continent as well. Thank you. Thank you. So this morning we obviously are going to be looking at some African stories here, and then we're going to be looking at some domestic stories here as well. But before I introduce the topics to you, I think it's imperative that I let you know who is representing what. We have Gabriela Tete here, seated, representing the NDC, and we have my very good friend. This man, every day his name I forget. Benjamin Insia. Benjamin Insia.
My own party.
I know. He owns Insia Insurance.
So don't buy pressure for me. Don't buy pressure for me. I beg. Don't buy pressure for me.
Yeah, Benji is here representing the almighty CPP this morning. Obviously, Saka will be late, so we're waiting for Saka to join us. And so when he gets in, we will introduce him as well. But welcome aboard. Welcome to the show. The Facebook page is now live. www.facebook.com/Pan-African Television. YouTube is also very much live and active. You can share with us what your thoughts are via those platforms. I'll be kind enough to read them here for you. Good morning to you, lady and gentlemen.
Good morning.
And I trust we are well.
We are well.
Okay.
I am.
But Gabby isn't there because she's not talking. She's not responding. So we don't know whether she's well or not.
I'm fine.
You are fine. Okay.
I'm fine.
Fantastic. All right. So we have an African story to touch on. But because of the late start of the show, I may have to sacrifice that and for us to deal with some Ghanaian stories here. And we're going to be touching on African single market area set to take off. Ghanaian Times reported that, and I'm confident that it has to is emanating from the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Mahama Slams Akufo-Addo, the National Enquirer, reported that particular story. You do know that former president and the leader and flag bearer of the NDC is on tour. I think he's in the Volta region currently. And yesterday I saw some videos of him in the Volta region being mobbed by some people who decided to petition him even before the December elections and, well, possibly his victory in the December polls. So they are petitioning, they are telling him that, Master, when you win the thing, don't come and do 2x4 things. So we need these things. Come and do them for us. I think that we must hold the feet of government to the fire of responsibility and those who are in power to the fire of accountability. It's very crucial. New NDC government will focus on job creation. Mahama said that, and that story has been captured by the masses. We're going to be touching on all of these stories. I'm not interested in any papano nonsense. I feel that we are at a point where it's imperative to focus or dwell our attentions and focus all our attention on development as opposed to trivial, fleeting, unnecessary banter on social media and things like that. I don't think it's necessary. And last time I posted on my Facebook wall that all those who are seeking to take political advantage of this thing are just wasting their time. Because you recall that before the 2016, in fact in 2012, no, actually in 2016, you recall what the NDC did to the MPP. I mean, they called Akufo-Addo all sorts of names and things like that, but it didn't wash. Akufo-Addo still emerged victorious. So I believe that this particular election must be focused on policy, youth development, agricultural development, sports development, health, and energy, all of those very crucial lungs of the economy, as opposed to this useless who bought what for who, doesn't matter. Well, if I have money and I want to buy something for somebody too, that would be a problem. People are wasting their time. Well, I mean, others own their own TV stations so that they can sit there and see what they want to say. But I believe that for which one?
Let's start the discussion. I don't know where you are taking this conversation to.
No, I mean, we've not started any conversation. No, I've not even introduced you to the conversation.
All kinds of awareness that I don't see why we are even having that conversation. Let's get into what
we are not having any conversation. I'm introducing my show. Can you allow me to introduce my show? Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, Gabriela came with her fighting boots. I'm here with my fighting gloves. Today we shall fight. Gabi, you want us to talk about job creation? Let's talk about job creation. Mahama says he will focus on job creation. Is it to suggest that he never focused on job creation when you guys were in power?
Good morning to a very big good morning to the flag bearer of the NDC and his running mate. She's doing wonders in the northern regions. She's currently there on a 10-day tour. She's done what's Baba's area called again? Wale. She's done Wale. She's done Avrongo. She's now in the Savannah region area, I think. One of the major key policies going into election 2020 centers on jobs for the youth. Now, your question as to whether the past NDC administration did not focus on jobs for the youth. You see, we have a growing youthful population. And per every 4-year cycle, you discover that the number of people who are in the youth bracket actually keeps increasing from the previous term, which means that consistently government agenda has to be on how to scale up programs that will create opportunities for young people after their education. Currently, we have a free senior high school program which has now expanded the scale of people going into getting educated. After this year, we're going to have roughly about 600,000 young people graduating from the SSS level. I'm not sure if at the moment we have enough capacity in the tertiary level to accommodate all 600,000 of them. And that's a conversation that I've also not heard much of in this election. Perhaps it's in the manifesto of the NDC. I don't know what is in the manifesto yet, but perhaps it's something that we've had to, they definitely must have considered. If in the unlikely event that we have people who fall off because they did not qualify to get to the next level, or that we don't have enough infrastructure available to take in the numbers, what happens to those people? We have to make provision for some training, further training for them to acquire skills. We have to make provision for them to get some employable skills and to also get something to do to earn a living, so they do not become a negative phenomenon on society. In the next NDC manifesto, we have a 10 billion, what we call the big push, which is a 10 billion investment in infrastructure. This is going to go into construction, roads, hospitals, bridges to connect communities, more education facilities. These things create job for a certain category of people. Masons, plumbers, people into road construction, the people who provide the food for these workmen when they go on the field, the consultants who design and engineer this project. So that ecosystem creates, the spilloff effect in job creation is huge. That also goes to improve on the economic livelihoods of people. So, in a community where you have a bad road and people are unable, the state of the road is not able to draw people into an economically viable program in their community. If you go to Cape Coast a lot, so if you've observed, between Mankesim and Apam, there's this community where they sell foodstuffs by the roadside, on the left, on the right. Prior to the construction of the road, that phenomena wasn't there. They didn't have that market by the roadside. After the construction of the road, you see that the people in that village decided to now come and do trading in that curve by the road. That is how a project is able to create an opportunity for a community. That's just one example. So imagine what 10 billion can do. Secondly, we also have the National Apprenticeship Program, which is going to allow for young people who take up apprenticeship, and this is practical apprenticeship, with their craftsmen, to earn an allowance to help them come, take care of little expenses, so that they're dedicated to the trade that they are studying. The workmen who are managing these young people and mentoring them will also get some benefits for allowing them to come and understudy them. At the end of the program, the state will provide these young people with the tools and equipment that they need. So if you go and learn, you go and understudy a tiler, for example, after the program, they give you your tile cutting tools and everything else that you need, shovels and all that, leveler that you need to facilitate your job as a craftsman tiler. That's also important because if you know, our flag bearer has spoken many times about our interest in promoting technical and vocational education. Training in technical and vocational education is one thing. Having the practical experience is actually the game changer, because our educational system is quite theoretical. Even in schools where they're supposed to be technical schools, sometimes you go to their laboratories and their workshops and they don't have adequate tools and equipment. So it's in this practical field where they actually get to learn the job. If we're investing in the education of it, naturally, we should also be interested in the practicality of it. That's why these two programs are very important. Our interest in improving free technical and vocational education all the way to the tertiary level. If you look at countries like Germany, like Japan, like China, that have become manufacturing hubs, like South Korea, there's serious focus on technical and vocational training. There's also investment in making sure that this country utilizes those skills, that innovation in those countries are relied on, are accepted, and are improved. Mercedes-Benz, when it started, was more like the Ford wagon design. But today, Mercedes brand is known the world over as a mark of quality in the automobile industry. This is how you build on technical and vocational training, and don't just let it become a theoretical subject, but a practical one as well. And these are the things that will help us to improve on our society. We also have business support that we're interested in supporting entrepreneurial ecosystem. Now we're going to have a conversation about the continental free trade arrangements and having a single market area within the African continent. Now Ghana has handed over that building. When we get to that discussion, we'll go into the details of the benefits of it. But for a country called Ghana to truly benefit from that trade arrangement, will require that we have an entrepreneurial society, not one that imports products from other countries and trades in, because we will not see the benefits of a free trade arrangement if we are only importing and selling, but one that actually takes manufacturing very seriously. In the next NDC administration, the financial sector is going to be improved to support manufacturing and to help us build a better manufacturing base to take advantage not just of the regional bloc, trading in the regional bloc, but also to help us take advantage of the benefits of the continental free trade arrangement. In the next NDC administration, in our previous term, under John Mahama, 2013-2016, we saw the reforms that were made to the YEA and how we've built a database of young people from the national service migrating out into the world of work. The next NDC administration is going to look at how to build upon where we left off. How do we train Ghanaians to become specialized and skilled, that we can now export our labor out of Ghana? You know, for us to be able to recruit the number of people to employ permanently, the number of people who we churn out every year from our schools, it means that the economy has to be growing at a certain rate. But the challenge we've had over the course of the past 10-15 years, even since we started with oil, is that we are seeing the growth in the economy, but we're not seeing a corresponding growth in the job market. Because sometimes that growth, people like to refer to as jobless growth, because some of the industries require skilled personnel that we don't have. So the companies coming in to invest will prefer to import people from other countries to occupy those positions. The other thing also is about the use of technology in some of these businesses, which takes away manual labor but improves efficiencies in the firm. Now, if we have to create permanent jobs, sustainable jobs for young people, that will require that beyond growing this economy positively at a certain scale, it also requires that we put in specific strategies that will create opportunities for young people. I think we said we undergo 4 or so under President Tata Mills. The reason why they bonded these nurses in the first place was because we were experiencing flights from Ghana to the UK. Ghana was losing her nurses to the UK, nursing health system. That's why we started this policy. But times have changed, and we now have to look at how to benefit from that program, not just because we have to we want to keep those nurses here and not train them and have them leave the shores of Ghana, but how to manage the process properly and benefit as a country from that, not just in the areas of nursing. Teachers, scientists. When the coronavirus pandemic started in Italy, Cuba gave up almost like 200 doctors to go and support with COVID. Cuba has similar arrangements also with Ghana. These are all programs that the NDC is considering coming into power December 2020 to promote youth employment for the people of Ghana in the areas of skill training, in the areas of investment in infrastructure, in the areas of managing the HR of our people and seeing which ones we can export. There's this program also that we call the gap analysis. His Excellency, the flag bearer of the NDC, former President John Dramani Mahama, has also spoken about what we call the gap analysis. Looking at the public sector, it's believed that if we rationalize the sector, there are places where we could have some recruitment within the public space, especially at the district assembly level, to strengthen the HR capability, the administrative capabilities of the district assemblies. We have a deliberate plan to create 250,000 jobs per year systematically, so that by the end of the 4-year term, we would have created 1 million jobs. And the measures I've outlined are some of the strategies that we intend putting in place to be able to create those opportunities. Investment not just in infrastructure, but also in agriculture. Investments in logistics and distribution. Investment in skills of young people. And building a solid financial sector that is able to provide the capital needed to finance this whole arrangement.
Okay. You've spoken eloquently, and I decided not to interject because I wanted you to put all the issues out. You spoke about the fact that when you were at YEA, you guys created a certain database, so you have an appreciation of the people who are unemployed and things like that.
Yeah, coming out using the national service data.
The national service data, okay. But in all of the things that you've said, permanent jobs, sustainable jobs, strategies to use.
Yes, because you see, if you look at
what permanent jobs are you referring to? Because in the analysis that you made,
if we go to
you made reference to, respectfully, you spoke about the fact that you are going to engage in skill development and training.
Yes.
And that, for you, should translate into job creation. Is that?
Yes, self-employment.
Yeah, but I don't understand. I mean, if you're talking about job creation and sustainable jobs, one would immediately assume that, you know, you have a certain plan, deliberate plan, to say that, okay, within the, for instance, let's say the transportation sector, this is exactly what we are going to do there. And so if we're going to train people to acquire a certain skill, we are training them to acquire that skill to help in that particular space. If you're talking about agriculture, you're training people to go and help in that particular space. But what specific jobs are you referring to? 250,000 jobs, 1 million jobs?
No,
does not make sense to me.
Why not? In the education sector, if you in education, you're going for training. You are a lawyer, right? You've trained to be a lawyer. You're also a journalist, more or less, and you're also a PR person.
I'm a journalist, not more or less. I'm a
Fine.
journalist.
So there in itself, I see 3 professions, right? This role that you are playing, 3 in 1. 3 people can also do that same job. And we have three people that have gotten jobs as with what you do to fill the space you occupy, not one man doing everything. If you study biochemistry, your logical in the advancement of your career, where should that take you? In the pharmaceutical firm, in the likes of the Unilevers, to be mixing all kinds of chemicals and creating all kinds of products. The likes of PZ Cousins. So, per your training, that's a system that tries to align you to what you have trained, to which profession and what help we give you. You see, we made reference to the YEA database. Now, what the YEA database does is that it has your name, what you've studied, perhaps your grade, but that's not really very important. It's your name, what you've studied, and some biodata about you. Every day, we have companies approaching this country wanting to do business in Ghana as FDIs. When they come and they want to recruit 80 people at a go, they approach recruiting firms who lay out adverts for people to apply. You can get about 1,000 people applying for a job. The other option is the recruiting firm can approach the YEA and asked for data on, we need about 10-15 accountants. Give us the data of 20 accountants. We want from this class of students, this particular school. Give us 30 marketers, and then you then shortlist the people you want and call them for interview to fill your firm. It's easier for recruiting companies to be able to pinpoint the caliber of people it is that they want.
Yeah.
In agriculture, for example, a lot of the time we see agriculture just as the planting of something. But agriculture, in agribusiness, it's big. There's aquaculture, where you train people how to do fish farming. Look at all the restaurants selling tilapia and catfish these days, and they're expensive. If you train people into fish farming, they become, that is their business.
Yeah.
There's somebody who then looks at the supply side of it and the input side of it, and then there's a business of, I will supply them chemicals, I'll supply them fish meal, I'll supply them whatever it is that they need for that business to grow. You go into farming, there's cropping, all right. You have somebody who go, I'll supply fertilizer, I'll supply hose, cutlasses, I'll do rental of tractors, and that is how those ecosystems are created. But there's a program, all right, that tries to build this. So it's not the system that is creating itself, and you leave it to the whims of, let's say, nature or the universe to make it happen. There's a deliberate plan, like what the government is trying to do with the planting for food and jobs. You know, the set of crops that are in that program, it doesn't cover every crop. There's just about some 5 or 6 crops that are in that program. But they have built cooperatives, single farmers who can take up large tracts of land in that program. They've built input suppliers into that program. All right. So when they say that the planting for food and jobs has created, let's say, about 50,000 jobs, they can list for you the farms, who are the cooperatives, who owns those farms, what are the suppliers of inputs on the program, and they'll tell you this is 50,000 jobs. Okay. And these are permanent jobs.
Okay.
Not temporary jobs, not contract employment.
Right.
Where you are engaged for a period, this year to this year, and then it's over.
Okay, I like the mere thought of it, that, you know, and it appears to me that it cuts across the board, because oftentimes it is just people focusing their attention on the graduates, for instance, as opposed to the people who sell on the street. And that's, yesterday that formed part of the confusion that I had relative to youth development and etc. But one other thing that I find very troubling is that oftentimes we carve these policies which are divorced from the needs and aspirations of the people. And by this I mean that if you look at, for instance, what you are talking about, that, oh, we want to invest in agriculture, have we done a survey to know that, okay, this percentage of people are interested, for instance, in agriculture? This percentage of people are interested in entertainment, tourism, etc. So that when we are creating these policies, we know that we are targeting these, because you see, you'll be surprised to know that your policy will be directed at, let's say, health, and you find just 1% of the youth interested in health.
But you see,
so there will be, yes, the intention and the idea is good, but execution will not be fruitful, because a lot of the people will not be interested in that. And I'll give an example. After university, I became a musician. And every time I say, yeah, I was a very successful one. Yeah, I was a very successful one. But every time I say that, if perhaps the music industry was paying that much, I would have still stayed in there, made my money, and be comfortable. But I had to move, because it was not paying at that time, and it was just a means for survival at that material moment. But the entertainment industry, for instance, can create so many jobs. A lot. That government will now be comfortable. The good thing is that a lot of the young people are interested in that. People are interested in acting. People are interested in fashion.
Music.
People are interested in music. They are guitarists. They are instrumentalists.
Movies.
Absolutely. You know, directors and things like that. Look at these guys here. So if you are creating or carving a policy, why don't you do your survey well, so that you can categorize it very well, catalog it very well, and put them in a certain domain, so that you know that, for instance, if you're talking about education and ICT, there are people who are interested in that. If you're looking at national unity and whatever, employment and poverty, youth health and protection, etc., leisure, and all those things, you know that there's a certain domain that you are working, you are working into. I don't know why.
You see, I appreciate where you're coming from, because a lot of the time that is how we do our programming. But what is different with the NDC this time around is that, if you remember, last year, 2019, we had what we call the People's Manifesto. And we went to the grassroots, to the grounds, for the people to tell us what it is that they want us to do. A lot of people gave us backlash, especially the opposition, because they thought that we were being lazy and wanted people to do the job for us. That really was the point of what we wanted to achieve. For the people to tell us exactly what it is that their needs are. And then we see how we design it and structure it and look for the financing for it. So that we're not coming to create another white elephant where it's good in names and titles and share slogans. One this, one that, one this, one that, one this, one that. But in reality, we are unable to deliver because we don't do our homework well.
You're talking about 250,000 jobs. Fair enough. And I'm staying with you on this one. And then after which I'll move to my brother Benjamin. 250 jobs translating to 1 million jobs, I believe. So we're saying that we're going to create 1 million jobs in 4 years, correct?
In 4 years.
In 4 years, yes. So which means that every year you create 250 jobs.
250,000.
50,000 jobs.
Yes.
My difficulty is that if you just come and tell me you create 250,000 jobs, there's no plan to it. There's no. To you, that's what appears. But I don't want to. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that in this year's election. You give me.
I wish I had an old manifesto I could work with. When you pick a manifesto, a manifesto tells you in road construction, Nungwa to Ashaiman.
You do it, but you don't tell us how.
This and this, this and this.
I know. You don't tell us.
We tell you we're interested in looking at the exemptions regime of manufacturing because the aim is to get more businesses attracted to Ghana.
No, I get all of that.
Inbuilt in these programs is an element of job creation. You understand?
You are talking about sustainable jobs.
Yes.
So the conversation is about sustainable jobs. It's not about giving contracts to people.
It's not contracts.
Because if you're talking about road construction, these are temporary jobs.
It's not contract. No, I'm using the example of a road construction as an example. But if we give a contract to somebody, that person now has a construction company. That construction company is now going to have at least an administrator, an accountant, and the owner of the business, who will now go around to continue soliciting for contracts to sustain.
But the operation of that company is consequent upon government giving them jobs. If government doesn't give them jobs, how have you created
jobs? It's not about government giving them jobs. It's about them themselves going out to look for jobs in construction. Because now they have an opportunity to have a business in construction. So if government is not even there to give them a contract in construction, they can work in private sector looking for other things to do in construction, like building houses, building swimming pools.
Gabi, nice policy, great idea, great concept. You guys should give us a plan to it. You see, we have been alive. All of us have been alive. But don't come and sit here and just be telling me you create 250,000 jobs every year. I didn't come
here to come and tell you where.
But that's what you're doing, because the point is that we've seen this happen before. I mean, Baumia came and said that you create 1 million jobs and all of that.
That was Baumia. That was Baumia.
Yeah, but people are used to it. So when you're making now people are not even comfortable making promises, because when you make a promise, people think you cannot fulfill them. That
is with NPP. Look, under the NDC, in 2015, NPP makes a lot of noise about the 100,000 NABCO recruits. Under the NDC, in 2015, under YEA alone, we created 120,000 jobs. But the challenge we have is that the YEA programming, although it's offering people the opportunity to get job experience, is not a long-term sustainable program for the individuals. So we keep recycling people every 2 years. Then the conversation then changes to, what do we do aside having a program that gives so many young people opportunity for just 2 years to have something sustainable? And that is how you have to help them to get into other branches of the economy. Now, as we speak, in the oil and gas sector, go and find out the people who are doing the welding. It took us 7 years to be able to raise the labor force who can do something as simple as welding in the oil sector, because we had to bring them from Nigeria. the skills was not available
At the time.
within Ghana. But you know that once this industry is starting, there are certain skills needed in that sector. And that is what the apprenticeship program is aimed at. The skills needed in those, look, as we sit here, when you call your plumber, what is the education background of your plumber? Most of them are GSS graduates who went and learned plumbing on the side. But you want them to have quality skills.
But without the skills, they are still operating.
They're operating, but they can be better. And they can earn better incomes. They can have it not just as a daily wala to walasa. They can have it as a proper business.
Okay.
Plumbing services.
I'll come back to you because I'm still not convinced. I'll come back to you, Gabby.
You just want to disturb me this morning.
I am not disturbing you. I'm not convinced.
Because I refuse to let you talk about your houses and all those things.
Oh, no. Oh, not at all, Gabby. Not at all. I think we need to interrogate. And it's because of what I've seen on social media. You know, because there was a little backlash when Mahama said he was going to create 1 million jobs. And I think that sometimes we just need that clarity. You know, because when you create a room for conjecture, people will conjecture and say all sorts of things.
If you have to break it up into the 16 regions.
Absolutely.
Okay. We have a program. It's a regionalized project. It's a district. It's even a district project.
So Gabriela, give me
that breakdown. We have a program
let people know that my
let me give you an example.
In Central Region and Oti Region, you know, particularly my village in Akabwe, let them know that this is a district regionalized project.
Look, let me tell you
so that every region.
In 2016, this one I saw the map with my own eyes. The NDPC and one of their consultants called Professor Ado did some serious work on the resource base of Ghana. It's a beautiful map.
Yes.
When you look at it, it tells you where we have timber, salt, fish, every district and where their strength is.
Absolutely.
When these people started their one district, one factory, I thought that would have been the first thing they should have gone and looked out for, because that is what would have influenced the kind of businesses they can have in the district when they are marketing the one district, one factory.
Absolutely.
But it's available to us. Every district, we know what it is that is available there.
Okay.
And the kind of businesses that you can develop in those particular districts to help them. In Central Region, pineapple in agriculture. Pineapple.
No.
Pineapple. Coconut.
Because when I drafted my national youth policy, I have a national youth policy.
Okay.
All these things were factored into it.
In Central Region, oranges, pineapple, coconut. We can go into more fruit production.
Even small-scale mining in those other places, small-scale mining.
No, there's a program for the mining communities and how to deal with the galamsey issue. That's another program in itself. How
but
to
you're not
help
going
them
to stop them because they need to survive.
No, they're going to find a sustainable mining.
Okay.
They're going to find a sustainable way of dealing with the menace of galamsey.
Okay. Now, Gabby has explained the issues a little better, so it's becoming clearer for me, and I think it's becoming clearer for the viewers as well. So the policy is going to be regionalized, and that's the most important thing. Let me go for this quick commercial break. When I come back, we'll be listening to Benjamin Isia.
Breakfast good day, every day.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Breakfast good day, every day. Every day.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Thank you very much for staying tuned into Pan-African Television. We're still talking about the fact that the John Dramani Mahama, the flag bearer of the NDC, is saying that the next government, NDC government, will focus on job creation. Gabriela has sought to explain to us which areas they are going to be focusing on and how many jobs are going to be created, and the domain, you know, where we're going to be focusing our attention on as well. So let me now bring into the conversation my brother Benjamin Insia. By the way, Saka has announced himself already, so Saka is here. Good morning to you, Saka. Oh, good morning. Fantastic. I didn't announce myself. That was off air.
That was off air.
Okay. All right. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Questioning me why I've stayed with Gabby, forgetting that this is a matter that has to do with the NDC. I need to bring everything out. Let me hear from you.
They have nothing to bring.
Okay, Kwame, good, thank you, and good morning to colleagues here and colleagues, viewers outside, who are always glued to Pan-African TV whenever Kwame is on set. And good morning to Ajia, your mother.
Oh yes,
and
Ajia,
all aspirants and all delegates. On 22nd August, on 22nd August, on 22nd August, CPP is going to elect their flag bearer and other executives, and I know Pan-African will be there to cover.
Now, I mean, there's not even going to be a debate
on Friday.
Oh no, on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So tomorrow will be for the general secretaries. Thursday will be for the chairman or the chairpersons, and then the Friday will be for the flag bearer.
Thank you, Pan-African.
Yes,
on Pan-African. Thank you, Pan-African.
6 p.m.
All right, Kwame.
Well, absolutely. I mean, if she delivers, why not?
She doesn't even need to even do debate for us to know that she's winning.
Yeah, Benjamin, let me go.
Okay, Kwame, if any flag bearer or any Ghanaian tells us that they will be creating jobs when elected into government, I think it's a good call, and I support it. Why do I support people saying that they will create jobs for the good people of Ghana? Kwame, we have 33% of Ghanaians being youth. That is, if you take the 2010 Ghana Statistical Service report on population and housing census. If you go further, we have about 48% of these youth who are not employed. If you take the World Bank report on youth unemployment in Ghana. Now, even if you go further to take even Ghana Statistical Service report on youth unemployment, you have about 11.1% of Ghanaians, the youth, who are not employed. And this transcends into poverty in this country. Recently, the Ghana Statistical Service released a report titled Multidimensional Poverty Report. And this report says that 45.6% of Ghanaians are poor, right? So it tells us that when Ghanaians don't have job, they don't have money, and it becomes a challenge to them. So when I hear anybody saying that I will create jobs, it becomes a good call on the fellows and as well as my part to the good people of Ghana. Now, when I hear I'll create jobs from John Dramani Mahama and the happiness that it comes with, I ask myself, which forms of job are we talking about? Are they direct jobs or indirect jobs? Because mostly we mention some of these things out there, but when we get to the ground, we realize that some are indirect and unsustainable jobs. So is John Mahama saying, or His Excellency John Mahama saying he's going to create direct 250,000 jobs per year, or he's creating maybe 50,000 direct jobs and 200,000 ancillary or indirect jobs? Oh no, they are jobs, but they are not sustainable, right? And if you read most of that's why I started by reading most of the reports that we've published in recent times by the Ghana Statistical Service, right? And this same Ghana Statistical Service is telling us that we have 23.4, if that is, if you take the consumption poverty, 23.4 of Ghanaians, if you don't go multidimensional, and you go to specific to consumption, who are poor. And why are they poor? Because maybe they don't have jobs, right? So it's a good call. But look at the sustainability of it. You see, Kwame, if you take a job, the sustainability and decency in job as established by International Labour Organization, which talks of security and other things, indirect jobs don't give security. That security assurance is not there. So what Ghanaian youth want are the direct jobs that are decent with good pay, not the kind of jobs where my brother and co give us 700 cedis a month and they say they have given a job. They are not decent jobs per ILO standard, right? They are indecent jobs. But because we don't, normally I tell Ghanaians that because Ghanaians already, you don't hold our leadership accountable. When they give them the small, they become happy. But we shouldn't fight for small. We should fight for big, just like our colleagues in other parts of the world. Now, Kwame, as I was listening to Gabi, she mentions that these jobs are going to be created from infrastructure development. And one of them, right? Some will be created from infrastructure development. Yes, but the question I ask myself, when we put out some of these things, just like what Bawumia did earlier, without thoroughly being scientific about them, we may be liars in future, just like what is facing Bawumia now. Because no, I'm just
no. You have to always try and put parity with something.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying he is the standard, but what I'm saying is that when we make some of these assertions out, or we make some of these promises out without being scientific about them, we will be called liars in future, just like what is happening now. Because if you listen to His Excellency Bawumia in 2016 campaigning and making huge promises without being scientific about them, today they've caught up with him, because most of the promises he made, he cannot fulfill them. Same way, when we sit here and say we are going to bring 1 billion infrastructure, we are going to bring, we are going to do what she calls gap, we are going to, all of these, without being scientific about them, maybe when elected into government in 2021, you realize that the 4 years will be approaching and we wouldn't be able to fulfill these promises we've mentioned.
The gap was actually based on analysis in the public sector.
Okay, you are telling me, and normally I didn't want to respond to some of these issues because your manifesto is not yet out, because the manifesto will spell out how and where.
Manifestos don't spell out how, Master. Don't.
But I think that's why I said that
most manifestos do not spell how.
How?
That's why I didn't want to engage on this national youth policy and things, because I think in July 2015 or so, they came up with a national youth policy. That policy was so empty, useless policy, didn't achieve anything, didn't address anything. I didn't want to get into that. So most manifestos don't address this matter.
No, but if previously, if they were not, I think now we should start addressing some of these things. Because when we put some of these promises, we should be able to tell Ghanaians where we are going to source these funds from. Because remember in 2016, His Excellency Bawumia came out and said, he spoke in Cree. The money is here. The money is here. The money is here. But the money is here, and today, with the money being here, and without seeing the infrastructure, and you know, infrastructure is key. I was telling someone yesterday that investment is very, very key, because when you are at a level where Ghanaians, now we say we are in the middle development or middle income country, right? At a middle income country, you need certain infrastructure to support your growth.
Absolutely.
Right? We don't have to spend huge times in traffic before you get into work. Imagine, Kwame, you wake up as early as 4 a.m. Just to come to work, and you spend almost 3 hours driving here. Whilst you could have spent less than 30 minutes getting here. You realize that it affects productivity. So infrastructure is key. But what I'm saying is that in this year's manifesto, which is 2020 manifesto, be it CPP, be it MPP, be it NDC, be it whatever party, we have to be scientific about some of the promises we make. Because if you are not scientific about them and just throw like we threw in 2016, we will get to a point where we will be asked to solve this thing and you cannot solve them. Now, Kwame, as I was also listening to my sis, she was also talking about apprenticeship and other things, giving training. You see, what we need to do as a country, and I think in 2012, when CPP was led by Dr. Sakara, we spelled some of these out in our manifesto. We need to register all skill-based, young people in this country. Register them so that we attach them to construction firms or let's say construction companies, right? So that at least if Pan-African has a construction firm, Pan-African knows that these are the people I work with always. So that we know where we take our pool workforce from. But this country, we don't register anybody. And I don't know whether the next government actually promises if they win, they will start. Because we know CPP promised that in 2012 that we are going to register all skilled workers in this country so that we will link them to all the job centers. Right? Now, apart from that, if you listen to some of these things that my sister mentioned, that they were going to do this, they were going to do that, what I ask myself is, what haven't you heard before? What will change this time? Right? What is going to change this time is that she's telling us that they will do it. But I'm telling you that, Kwame, the accounts have a saying, I know my uncle A.B. Fiseni is not here, that if you don't know death,
look asleep.
Look asleep.
Henna.
If you don't know death, look asleep. So if you had the opportunity to serve, and we all saw what you did, what are you bringing now? What are you bringing differently? And this doesn't go to only NDC, it goes to MPP too. We've heard all the promises. We've seen the implementation. The implementation doesn't go with the promises, or the implementations don't go with the promises we heard. So it tells you that they are failing. And that is why I've been telling Ghanaians, that especially the youth, that we should be interested in the development of this country. Yeah. We should be interested. I had the privilege of coming. I heard you talking about the youth policy. I had the privilege of being part of the 2020 youth policy program. I think I was in Koforidia. I was part of the technical committee.
I drafted I sent a first copy to Emmanuel Asigri. Yes, the correspondence is still there.
I think
Forum for Accountability created that. And,
yes, and I was part of Forum for Accountability.
Of course, you are still part of it.
Yeah. Right. When we went to Koforidia, I was part of the technical committee on economics. Right. And you could realize that Asigri, to be frank with you, he was serious about it, because the last time we had a youth policy was in 2010, which was not fully implemented.
Was it 2010? Not 2015,
No, 2010.
So I was mistaken. 2010.
It was 10 years, but the 15 was to review, evaluate.
So the 15 was what I saw was the 2015 one.
15 one.
Yeah, I think the 2015 one is what I saw.
Yeah. So we had the 2010 and 2020, but when Sylvester came, we don't know what is happening.
Oh, Sylvester is
silent on it.
Very silent.
He's very silent.
He's not concerned. All he cares about is to become an MP.
Okay. So you are telling me this? I don't know.
But you don't know his truth. He's contested.
He's contesting.
He won the primaries.
All right. But what I can tell you is that he's not interested in the youth development of this country. And if you are not interested in the youth become the workforce that will support various households and various population dynamics in this particular household. So as a country, regardless of our political background, let's be interested in creating jobs, sustainable jobs. And you know the reason why you cannot create jobs, Kwame? When any country is developing from one sector or structure to the other, we take it from agrarian, which is agriculture. Now from agriculture, you come to agro-processing, which is industry, before you go to finance. But we didn't go that way. When we came from agric, we went direct into services. Right? So we went direct into the financial or the service sector. Now the service sector is growing, and we all know that the service sector cannot create the jobs we want. So that is why we need industries. And we don't need 2x4 industries, as my friend Sake and Co have been putting down, where even if a Chinese establishes any industry, they go and tell Ghanaians that they have established an industry called One District One Factory. These are factories established by Chinese. We are talking of an industry that can employ almost 5,000 or 10,000 direct jobs. Not an industry that employs 700, 200 direct jobs. And you come and tell us, and these are industries are even owned by Chinese. You come and tell us that you are creating jobs for the people of Ghana. That is why we are telling Ghanaians, the youth, that the time has come for them to come home. CPP did it before. Kwame, you know the history. And I know they all know the history here.
You saw the 2015 youth policy?
Yes, I saw it.
Was it detailed?
It was.
The 2015 one?
No. I think I saw the 2010 and 2020, but the 2015, I'm yet to see the 2015.
No, I saw it. The 2010, I think the 2010 and the review in 2015, I saw them. Both.
So the 2015 was a review.
Yeah, useless document.
Right? But because even the 2010, they didn't even implement it well. And 2020, they are not implementing. I don't know why.
They haven't implemented anything.
They don't even want to implement it. But you know, now, NYA has a fund. Those days, they used not to have a fund, or let me say, direct source of fund. Okay, but now it has been capped.
I know you don't work with NY, but because we are talking about youth development and things, I think it's important to sometimes chip in those things. What's the core function of NY?
You have asked a serious question, because I get confused.
No, I mean, I get confused too. Because if their core mandate is to ensure that the youth are well advanced and well developed, etc., then they are not doing that.
So we have
they're not doing that.
No, we have NYA.
Yeah, there's YA, there's NYA. But
we have NEP.
Yes, NEIP.
We have something
National
called
Entrepreneurship Investment.
We have something
whatever.
called YE. So these are 3 agencies.
I'm telling you, they are not doing anything for the youth development.
function.
Absolutely. And I got me boy.
No, but the way I see it, I see YEA and what is now NEIP as the operational wing of youth advancement.
Absolutely.
But the
NYA is like a policy-driven thing. Absolutely.
But they are also engaged in all kinds of programs to try to make themselves, you know.
But what policies?
The focus, I think, should be on this.
No, I get it. But the point is that what has NYA done? Because if you are saying that the vehicle or the vehicles are NEIP and YEA, the fuel is NYA. How come that they are not giving them fuel to power what to fuel their vehicle? Because if they are supposed to support them with policy drives a nation's development. So if they are supposed to draft policies to help YE and NEIP operate properly, then they are not doing their job. I mean, from where I sit.
But even it's beyond YE and AE. There's also an aspect in sports, under the youth and sports.
Yeah.
So there's an aspect under sports, and I think perhaps the real thing is that we should rationalize and structure all these youth groups properly and have them aligned.
Yeah.
So Kwame, in conclusion, what I can say is that we support this call. We are waiting. We don't know when and where their manifesto will be launched. They should launch it so that CPP will take a critical look at it. If we shall criticize it, we criticize it scientifically, because when they are able to achieve this 250,000 a year, Ghanaians will benefit. Bear in mind that, you know, the universities churn out 250,000 graduates every year.
Absolutely, which means that problem would have been sorted.
But
the thing is also that, and that has always been my issue, and I think I posed that question to Gabi, that the focus has always been on graduates, as opposed to the school dropouts. The person who is selling on the dog chains on the street of Accra. What are we doing for those people?
GSS dropouts.
I beg your pardon.
Most of them are GSS dropouts.
What are we doing? And I describe those people as an army in waiting. Because most of them really have nothing to lose. And if care is not taken, and they get some radical person to lead them, they can bend this nation. So we need to necessarily also factor those people. Yeah, absolutely.
Surely we shall do that. I think I told you earlier that in 2012 we had that manifesto. Even in 2016 we discussed them extensively in our manifesto that we're going to take good care of them. Right? I don't know. That's why I said let's wait and see what will be the manifesto of NDC.
Okay. Thank you, Benjamin.
Just to chip in. That was why under the last NDC under President Mahama and Professor Jane, from our time, when you fail BEC, that is the end of the road for you. But now, when you don't pass your BEC, there's an option for you to reset your papers. Now, even under the NPP, they've now created, advanced that policy, so that if you don't perform well at your BEC, you apply back to your school, and then you go back to serve your final year, repeat your final year again. I'm putting the word for you. I'm putting the word equality for your people.
Now you have given another
Saka. What
I've been here getting to 1 hour without talking.
What I don't like is what you are doing. If you had come early, you would have.
No, it's not like that. So I should get up and go.
If you want to, I don't have a problem.
No, we don't do that.
But I'm the one moderating the show. Why are you telling me what to do?
I've been here 1 hour, I haven't talked. And then somebody finished she has started and you allow her to
I'll give you the opportunity.
I thought she wanted to chip in something.
But
she's going all and then you are sitting down watching her.
I just chipped in.
This attempt always.
Kwame, don't be doing that.
Saka, I'm saying that I am moderating the show.
So moderate it well.
Why? Are you the one who's supposed to tell me what to do? When you are making your argument and it doesn't make sense, do I tell you to make better arguments?
No, you can tell me.
No, I beg. Please, your time is now up. Speak.
I should speak about what?
Speak about what you wanted to speak about.
Job creation.
the new NDC government will focus on job creation. Saka, let's hear from you.
Yeah,
and you see, I folded my arms, which means I'm not going to interject. Talk.
Yeah. If you're not going to interject, I think it will be good.
NPP people, and I decided to attack me, no problem.
No, we attack you. Especially the things that you put on Facebook. Teams have come to ransack Koshipan's office. Then you said that it's because some people.
Oh, so today you came. You came, I came.
Yeah. Remember Oba.
I love you too, bro. Please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me use this opportunity.
It's like it doesn't hide though.
to extend my greetings to everybody, especially the MPP, Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, Bawumia, and all of them. Kwame, I mean, the NDC says they are going to create jobs. For me, I think say a quadriquasi of a month tomorrow. CND. It's a media. Papa no kasa, I take it with a pinch of salt. For me.
Well, Anna, you've turned the show into a true show. Because you simply just wanted to say Papa no.
Oh,
so you have to start to mention Papa no and come back to English. Please focus on what I say.
So I'm saying that if NDC tells you that they are going to create jobs, take it with a pinch of salt. Or you can treat it with contempt or disdain. Because it is just political talk. We have seen them. We have seen what they can do and what they cannot do. I mean, they are not new. If it's maybe a new political party that is emerging, like those that are also making noise all over. If it is them, you said, okay, these people, we have not tested them, so we don't know how they will govern. So let's try them and see. But we are talking about NDC. Let me tell you, let me tell you one thing.
The Wi-Fi.
When NDC was in government for 8 good years, I mean, their immediate past government, they indeed, they have been in government more than any other, more than even Kwame Nkrumah. They've been in government for over 27 years. And in all these things, they could not create jobs. We've seen, especially John Dramani Mahama government, we've seen how he staples job creation, how he made it impossible for jobs to be created in Ghana. We've seen a situation where he made banks to collapse. In 2015, they did asset quality review, and it was found out that 9 of those banks were in comatose. They had collapsed and were waiting to be buried. When we came, we had to restructure them. We had to ensure that the 4.5 million depositors whose money were deposited in these banks were saved. Some of the banks were not necessarily a collapse. Some of the banks were integrated. You know, we consolidated some of them. Those that needed to go had to go. And people who engage in criminalities and all that, the receiver and then the Attorney General is dealing with them. So these are how, because if you allow the 4.5 million people whose deposits have been put in these banks, they are the people who use their deposits to create the jobs. So that when their money is circulating within the economy, that is how the jobs will be created. But if we have a situation like the DKM, where there was a president, there was a government, there was a Bank of Ghana, and then they watch with glee, sheepishly, and allowed DKM to defraud Ghanaians. And those people turn around and say that, oh, when we come, we will pay Assemble men. As if they don't even know the Assemble men. I said, you were the originators of the Assemble concept. You never sat down to even think that Assemble man needed to be given money. For 27 years, it has never come to your mind. Within 3 years of opposition, then you turn around and change your shirt and said, I wasn't the one. Now when I come, I will give them money. And then the person that is there, you are saying that he has not given money, and therefore he is not governing well. Also, this is a government, whilst in office, I mean the NDC government, whilst in office, took us to IMF. Because they said that they did not have credibility. They themselves said it. And therefore, they were going to the IMF for policy credibility. They first of all took us to Senchi. They assembled people to go and eat and go and drink tea. And then, after that, they took us to IMF. And then, as part of the IMF conditionalities, they said that you cannot employ. There was a moratorium on public sector employment. The graduates and all those people who completed schools, they could not get jobs to do. And then they were clapping for themselves for taking us to IMF. And we were under the apron string of the IMF for well over 3 years. So, during their time, no graduate was employed. even those, because there was exceptions, the education sector and then the health sector, even those ones, the nurses and then the allies health workers were not employed. It has to take this government, for MPP government to come, and we had to start recruiting the backlog from 2013, 2014 up to date. We talk of extension service workers, people who completed extension service schools, because we know that as a nation, about 80% of us engage in agriculture and then agribusiness, and therefore any government will resort to want to pump or invest margin into agric in order to leverage on that.
Absolutely.
They came. I'm telling you, even 2016 that they invested much in agric, we clocked 0.4% of agric growth. They invested 1.8. They invested 180 million. The whole of the 2018 in agriculture. MPP government, within 2 years, we had invested 1.8 billion. You say that you yourself have said. Within 2 years, we had invested 1.8 billion as against 180 million by the NDC. So you could see that they are not ready to create jobs. If you want to create job, you know where you can create a job. You know where you have the relative advantage as people. You know that you either do agribusiness or you go into rigorous agriculture production. And today, as we are speaking, the Planting for Food and Job has brought in its wake creation of jobs. The first year, we created 750,000 jobs. The second year, we created 900,000 jobs. The third year, we created over 1 million.
So the issue of unemployment is...
No, not necessarily. The unemployment figures are high. The unemployment figures are high. You see, you see, the unemployment figures are high, and therefore these figures cannot solve everything.
You said 1 million jobs.
Yes.
Where? Which sectors?
Oh, I'm talking about the Planting for Food and Job.
The Planting for Food.
Please let me talk. When you were talking, I was here. If you have anything, just write it down.
Yeah. Oh no.
So I'm saying, let me tell you. Some people say that those that have been registered, those that registered on the Planting for Food and Job, they are not jobs, according to some school of thought. But you also go to the ILO definition of a job. That if somebody engage you, no matter the time, for just an hour, and you can get your livelihood, that is job creation. And these people that we are talking about, there were some people who were not farmers. They took advantage of the incentives that are given to them by the Planting for Food and Jobs, and they became farmers, and therefore are captured as a full employment for them. And then there were other farmers who were so down, who were so discouraged by the fact that they couldn't get inputs, they couldn't get fertilizer, they couldn't get pesticides and all those things to work with. They couldn't get extension services, and had decided not to do farming anymore. But because of the Planting for Food and Job, they decided to continue with farming, and therefore have been captured as part of the job creation. We are talking about these, jobs that we have created. We are talking about afforestation under the youth employment model. About 83,000 youth that we brought on board, where under the youth employment model, they work within the afforestation.
So these jobs are permanent jobs?
So it's not all.
Okay.
The permanent job, you remember, the Minister for Labour came out with some number of jobs that were created. We talk about the security services. If you go to the security services, the number of people who have been employed. If you go to the teaching staffs and the teachers, the number of people who have been employed and all that. And then the Planting for Food and Jobs. And then we talk about the One District One Factory. The jobs that came with. The jobs that the One District One Factory came with.
Which job?
At least for now, we have about 58 of the factories operating. We have about 190 of the factories that are being considered, that are in the process of coming up. So these are, and every factory, each factory employs a number over 100 of the teeming youth of this country. We are talking about the NYEP. We are talking about the number of people that they themselves have employed, about 70,000. Indeed, when Kufuor created the NYE, and under the then MPP government, and the NDC took over power, the number of NYEA employees that were on that agency were 105,000, and by the time the NDC went out of power, the number had reduced to 55,000. So we are saying that even, you see, it's not a permanent job. As some people are going, you expect that others will be coming. You understand what I'm saying? And now there is always an increase. You see, let me tell you, I'm saying that as those people who are graduating and leaving the models are going, more people are coming, to replace them. So if you are somebody that is serious about creating jobs for them, more people should be enrolled into the agency in order that you can get hand-on work for them. Under the NDC, it didn't happen. So I'm saying that when it comes to employment opportunities, it was becoming more and more, difficult under the NDC government to create employment for the youth of this country. Now, because they are in opposition, and then they just want to throw. You were talking, he said that Bawumia said that you create 1 million. 1 million what? When did Bawumia say those things?
No, I was asking you about 1 million, one constituency. Whether those promises have been fulfilled.
Yes, it has been fulfilled. Unless you don't want to know that it has been fulfilled. You understand? The 1 million, one constituency has been fulfilled. At least it passes through the IPAP, the Infrastructure for Poverty Eradication Project. That is the special initiatives, So I'm saying that there is no constituency in this country. There is no constituency that have not gotten their 1 million since 2017.
All right.
Of course, you might say that, okay, maybe the first year, the money did not come as it should. But at least something came, because the first year was used to actually get the act. And now, as we are speaking, almost everything is working. So for me, I think that it's easier said than done. The NDC under John Dramani Mahama can also throw some figures around, and then try to also create the impression if they come to power, they create jobs. But we know when they talk of the infrastructure that he is going to use 10 billion for infrastructure, we said that why would 10 billion be in his mouth just like that? The same person when he was in office, he said that he was going to build Hope City with 10 billion with Agambiri. It never come to fruition. Hope City never come to fruition, and they mentioned 10 billion. The same person turned around and come and say that I'm coming with another 10 billion, and this 10 billion will use for infrastructure. So I am saying that it is a lie.
Okay.
The NDC they do not have the wherewithal to create jobs for this country.
Okay.
They do not have the men. They do not have the dexterity.
All right.
To actually create jobs. What they know best is to destroy jobs. What they know best is to give the fate of this nation and hang it on the IMF for IMF to dictate to us. This is a government that have come. We're creating jobs almost everywhere. And what they can only do is that, this one is not there, this one is not possible, and all those things. But I think that they cannot think outside the box by evidence of what we have seen them in the past.
All right.
The government that can take us to the promised land is the MPP government under Nana Danko Akufo-Addo.
Thank you very much, Sakasalia.
Can I rebut?
Well, you guys will, but I think then we can focus our attention on this, because even the other issues really can feed into this one. Let me read a few messages and then we'll come to your rebuttals.
He's been writing his notes on
Eric Hakuna Matata. Eric Hakuna Matata.
Okay,
you Zanga.
Makuna.
Eric Hakuna Matata in Kofredia says, today Mr. Mahama has the effing nerve, promising jobs, wonders shall never end. Has he forgotten because of the IMF loan facility the NDC signed us on to recruitment ceased in this country? With JDM's 3 months pay policy, workers were paid 3 months salary after working for 3 years. In fact, we are tired of JDM and his fake promises. Regards to Michael Ochebefi, Hakuna Matata Koforidia. Stephen Hale Ablode says, good morning, KOD. It's our time we learn to access, mark, and question the performance of every ruling government manifesto. and hold them accountable before giving us another promise. In an election year, we are tired of empty promises. Ghanaians are not fools. We are voting this year based on what the parties have done and have done alone. We want to see things real, not on paper. Shaq O'Neill says, in fact, indeed, actually, MPP is a disgrace to the trainees. Their selectiveness will not work this time around. For their dishonesty and arrogance alone, this MPP government must be booted out come December 7th. The last time I checked, over 50% of Ghanaian voters brought them to power to solve problems, but not to perpetuate and worsen them. So they have no excuse over the failure, and I'm disappointed in Ghanaians. KOD, I missed my chairman Mona on your show. He'll come on Friday. Donald Gomez says, good morning, good morning. Tarib Sultan Sisi says, I like today's discussion. Thank you. Nana Benin Kwesi Tano says, the lies are too much. The youth should rise up and vote against MPP and NDC. They won't create any job for we the youth. Engineer Target from Fijai. Vote for CPP. Patrick Parry says, so MPP guys can't make any submission without mentioning Mohammed's name. Which type of human beings are this? But we are discussing Muhammad, my brother. Ayuba Abarichi says, Pan African TV, please look at your description of Saka. You describe him as MP for Sagmerigu. Yeah, I saw that. And they've corrected it. More
Students of hygiene.
Steve Hill upload, they have read your message. Ibrahim Washara says, KOD, do you know why Ghanaian youth are suffering from education? My answer is we teach everything in English in our schools. We should teach all the subjects in our own languages, like South Koreans, China, France, Germany. Every subject is taught in their language. That's why you see, but the official language. Beyond that, we teach in theory. They teach, they practicalize their teaching. So
no, those people were not colonized, and they have their own language.
We have reached a point that our politics need to come out with policies which will make the youth and job creation better rather than which will make the youth job creators rather than job seekers. Dennis Y. Akwete says, what was Saka Salia talking about? The hospitals and schools, for instance, that President Mahama built, do we have animals that are working there? Again, is Saka also not aware of the genesis of PFJ, how it transmogrified? They should give us a break. They can choose to be self-imposed, arrogant, and naive, but they cannot carry us along that tangent. Shalom. Labi Cameron Samuel says, watching TV show from Accra, Ghana. Juliana Belinda says, MPP man should list the areas where we can see the $1 million. Achim Fahamon says, KOD, tell Saka to stop lying. The money for planting for food and jobs was initiated and solicited for the loan. How much is the money? The money came during MPP's time. KOD, ask MOFA staff, they will tell you. Apart from planting for food and jobs, they have nothing. The money is from Canada and it's for 5 years. It will end in 2022. MPP should stop lying to us. Achimfa from Tamale. Collins Dakwa says, whoo, shame unto you, MPP man in the studio. Always telling lies. Kugbe Victor says, Saka, stop the lies. Ibrahim Washara says, Saka, full of lies. Hey. Gabriela.
So let's go to the next so that we can.
No, the next topic is the same.
So what is the next? So what is it?
Mahama slams Akufo-Addo That's the national inquiry. I'm sure yesterday you listened to some of the things.
Yeah, he was talking about freebies.
Yeah,
and all that. We give freebies.
But before I come to you guys, I have the second advert break. So let me go for that one. When I come back, then we can spend the rest of the time to discuss the issue. Please stay with us.
Breakfast good day, every day.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Breakfast good day, every day. Every day.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Thank you very much. Gabriela Tete, you wanted to respond to a few things that were said by Sakasalia, but I beg you to box that particular rebuttal with Mahama Slams Akufo-Addo. Yeah, please.
Okay, so Saka in the submission said the NDC collapsed the banking sector. The NPP came and reformed the banking sector. During the time of the NDC, the banking sector was growing at 21.5%, even in spite of all the challenges. Now, when the NPP came into office, that was the first time we heard of all three tiers of the banking sector: microfinance, savings and loans, and the universal banks, come under consistent attack by party machinery and the government machinery of the NPP. A lot of the analysis to dissolve these banks were more subjective than objective. Banks like Heritage Bank, which was dissolved because the owner was not fit for purpose, nothing about the financials of the bank was taken into consideration. UT Bank was a bank that's UT Bank and
GM Bank.
No, GM Bank. Then Dr. Dufour's bank was what?
Unibank.
All these three banks, all of them were heavily indebted to by the contractors. The very contractors that government refused to pay in the name of an audit, which up to date. Yours, in the name of an audit, which up to date we still not received the findings of that audit. Those contractors have also not been paid, but we'll go into that conversation in a few minutes. The collapse of the banking sector, we all know what happened. How many job losses occurred in that sector, and all the ancillary businesses that were also supporting the banking sector. Go and see how the media houses are struggling because they've lost their contracts for advertising of these banks and the savings and loans and etc. and microfinance. And then he also says one district, one factory, where they've come to build. They have a list of 58. Let me give you 3 companies on their 58. Casapreco, Ghana Limited. They not start under. You've mentioned your 58 list. Casapreco. They not start under Akufo-Addo's one district, one factory policy. There's a company, another company on their list called Springs and Bolts. Springs on Bolt was registered in Ghana 2013. It is on our list as one of the companies that benefited from our industrialization program. So I find it surprising that this same company is on their list as one district, one factory. They have a company, MK International. MK International is Motor King. They are the ones who assemble the Motor King tricycles. They've been in Ghana since 2008, 2009. They did not start under Akufo-Addo's one district, one factory program. Then he says that with our flag bearer, NDC has promised a $10 billion infrastructure drive, and they are comparing it to Roland Agambiri's 10 billion Hope City. Kwame, if you design a project and you invite me to come for sword cutting, and you tell me that your project is going to cost 5 billion, is it my project?
Nope.
I was a guest, but they have tried, because Muhammad went there to go and cast sword, they have turned the whole thing on its head that it was a Muhammad NDC project. That was it was purely a private sector project.
We heard the message. We heard the speech on that day.
What was the speech? It was purely a private sector project. Perhaps the man was anticipating government support, but that was not a surety on that project. Then he says the one constituency 1 million. Some of the MPs are saying they've not received their 1 million per one constituency since it was promised. You know that money is supposed to be 1 million per year.
Absolutely.
Since 2017. Even the District Assembly Common Fund requires in arrears, they've not been receiving the money. How much more one constituency 1 million?
Even after it's been capped.
If you have promised one constituency 1 million, please, let's be transparent. Let's show the people of Ghana what you spent the 1 million in each constituency, what you have spent the money on. In my constituency, I haven't seen any 1 million one constituency project anywhere. So now on our flag bearer, the second topic, and Muhammad slams Akufo-Addo.
Yeah.
Over the past few months, since COVID started, we've observed new posturing of the government. Understandable that we are all in challenging times, because these are not normal times for all of us. Demand has slowed down, people have lost their jobs, incomes have fallen, global trade is at an all-time low, movement is restricted because we're not engaging in international movement these days because our borders are closed, and there's a whole new abnormality that we are now adjusting to. The government of the NPP has tried to mitigate some of the stresses on the people of Ghana by offering some incentives like free water, 50% reduction in electricity, food packages for hot meals for some segments of the society during the lockdown period, giving out sanitizers and all these things, and supporting small and micro enterprises with some stimulus packages. The focus of our flag bearers point was that in as much as these incentives do provide some pillowing for the people, the focus at this moment should not be excessively about giving out too many free things, because somebody is paying for these expenditures. And if we do not cultivate the habits of rather concentrating on investing in productive sectors that will make the Ghanaian comfortable, so that when the economy or the country comes under any kind of shocks, we have enough welfare systems, enough programs within the country itself that is able to cushion people. You know, we had a conversation some time ago about the use of our social security, some amount from our social security contributions as an insurance against unemployment, so that families who have lost their jobs can still earn something to keep the households in balanced while they look for another job, because some of these programs just don't exist in the work environment. That requires government to invest in a welfare system that unemployed people who formerly, within a formal economy, who contribute taxes and social security, can benefit from a welfare system should the unfortunate happen. We think this is a more probable solution than just giving people free whatever, because should the uneventful happen again, we cannot go for another freebie ride. Then he also makes the argument that we have these monies we are pumping into small and micro enterprises. For example, we don't know who the beneficiary businesses are and which sectors of the economy these monies are going to be channeled into. Looking at the fact that we have a country that is so much import dependent, is the strategy looking at putting the monies into businesses that are going to engage in import substitution and provide raw materials for other businesses or services that ordinarily would have imported. This period, for example, would have been a very good time for us to look at the poultry industry, because that is one of those short growth businesses where within 6 months, 8 months, you can see the ripple effect in your economy, and also cutting down on poultry importation. We already have some advantages in rice, but we're still importing rice, a large chunk of rice. This would have been a good time to support, put in more support for the local rice consumers, etc., etc. The many sectors of the economy you can go into. Instead of giving, last Sunday, the president issued another one of his freebies, free hot meals for JSS students. I've never, and God is my witness,
and teachers as well.
And teachers, I have never heard anybody complain that the JSS students said they were hungry because of COVID protocols and restrictions. But the president says we should now offer free meals to JSS students. What happens to the people who are already providing meals and selling it to these students in the schools? Now that the government is going to be supplying free food, is their business going to disappear? Under this same feeding, during the lockdown, we spent 54 million on 400,000 hot meals per day for people who were disadvantaged. Up to date, we've not had any proper auditing of that feeding program. Up to date, as unrealistic as the amount sounds, the people who got the contract for the feeding project, we don't know who they were, how they came by those contracts, and whether the actual proper procurement were followed through, or it was just an avenue to equip women organizers of the NPP with feeding contracts. And is the same thing going to replicate itself in the feeding of the GSS students? Kwame?
Yes.
The issues are many.
Right.
But
the crack
is saying all these free things that Nanado is pushing, whether for political advantage or whatever, when you take a holistic view of the economy of Ghana and how we put in measures to contain future occurrences and to protect our citizenry, these are two tangential matters. What Nanado is doing and what should actually be done are two different things.
Very well.
But it serves his interest politically. But when we have the opportunity, we'll put in proper containment measures that will make sure that should we experience these kind of challenges again, we'll have proper welfare systems, insurance systems in place to protect the Ghanaian worker who face unemployment.
Right. Thank you, Gabriela. Saka.
Yeah, Kwame. First of all, I think that your mama slams Akufo-Addo. He says, "Oh, why should Nana-Addo be engaged in giving freebies instead of investing in productive sectors of the economy and grow the economy, so that when the people get money, they themselves will not need the free things." I mean, it sounds good in his mouth, but to be honest with you, I think that this government has invested a lot in the productive sectors of the economy. It's only ironically, he is the one that actually invested in the unproductive sectors of the economy. You know, you might think it's a joke, but the reality is that nowadays, I mean, there is a term, the papano, that people might think that we like using it. But indeed, what brought about the papano? What brought about the papano? Oh, yesterday, I mean, the Canada Japan show.
Well, it's Canada Japan, friend of the papano.
So, I'm coming. What brought about the papano?
I'm not discussing papano.
The papano, no, I'm not also discussing it.
So don't mention papano on my show.
Now why?
Because I don't want to.
Why? Because you don't want people to associate it with
because
your
it's
mama.
irrelevant to the conversation.
No, it is not.
You are mentioning.
So you listen.
We're discussing Muhammad. It's Muhammad.
Oh.
Discuss Muhammad.
We are discussing Muhammad. Am I lying?
What has papano?
Wait, then let me talk first. Let me talk first. Then you see the relevance.
There's no relevance to papano.
Oh, let me. When I
will not encourage.
No, I am saying that if he had invested in the productive sectors of the economy, today we would not have had the situation of papano, because he rather invested in the slave queens.
So we should have a situation where we call Abrantier, no? Is that what you want?
What is it?
What has that got to do with the conversation?
The conversation is that your mama says that Nana-Addo is giving everything free instead of using the money to invest in productive sectors of the economy. And I'm saying that is an irony on his part, because he was in power, was investing in slave queens.
How do you prove that?
And that brought about the name.
How do you prove that? You can't sit here. No. Listen, I'm a lawyer. Listen, you can't be sitting here.
Okay, they can't be sitting
here. No.
So what is it?
I won't encourage any defamatory, disparaging comment on my show.
But I'm not the one saying it.
But you are the one saying it on my show.
No, but I can tell you
that I won't encourage that on my show.
Okay, you discourage it. But I'm saying, continue discouraging that.
Masa, stop that. You have no evidence to back what you're saying. If somebody takes you to court, how are you going to
let the person take me to court?
Don't do that.
And you see whether I will defend myself.
Let's not get into the darkness because people are
nobody. They should go ahead. No, they are going ahead.
I say this every time on my show. Listen, hold on. If you watch my show, no. No, Gabriela, please.
Oh no. You have nothing to say.
I won't encourage this. Because on my show, you are aware that even the Texans, I tell them that I do not want insult. I don't want innuendo.
But who insulted who?
But that's what you are doing.
I insulted somebody.
It's President Muhammad Papano.
Is Papano an insult?
It's President Muhammad.
Is Papano an insult?
But you know what Papano?
It's a tree language.
You know what Papano is associated with. And you are saying that President Muhammad invested in slave queens, and you are describing him as Papano. I'm telling you that is not a part of the conversation we're having.
Who told you that?
I'm telling you that President Muhammad.
He is saying that somebody has not invested.
But how are you linking that to Papano and slave queens? How does that make sense?
I'm saying that if he was invested.
Who is he? Describe him well. It's not funny. It's not funny.
Who is he?
If somebody describes you as he, when you have a position, when
I am saying
that the former president of Ghana. Don't do that.
No. Listen. But he is not an insult.
What is it? You can't describe him.
He is not an insult.
You can't describe.
And I'm saying, why not?
So describe him as he.
No. You see, the president.
Let's give respect.
The president. He will be in the central region today. So I'm describing him as he.
But how do you preface it? You said the president.
Yes, because I mentioned your mama earlier.
Masa, and we all read English.
Oh,
so don't do that.
Please.
No.
He is not answering.
If people will describe you as NDC,
I succeeded in
I'm saying that I will not encourage you to use such words on my show. Okay. That's a fact.
Okay.
And everybody knows that. And I've decided not to even discuss that issue.
I have accepted your discouragement.
Please go ahead.
So I am saying that it is an irony. Let's forget about the slave queen matter. Let's forget about it. But I'm saying Kwame, if you look at the sectors that the NDC government invested in, if really they had invested in the productive sectors of the economy, today they would not have even taken us to IMF. Look at agric. Everybody knows that agric was a productive sector of the economy. Agric investment leaves much to be desired under the NDC government. And I told you earlier that 2016, for instance, they invested only 180 million Ghana cedis. They will come with the budget, but what will go into the budget, what will be given to the sector will not come. We have seen all these things. So I'm saying that he himself, like I earlier on said, all the things that he's banded around, he's talking about, is because he wants power. He never invested in the productive sectors of the economy. This government have been able to invest in the productive sectors of the economy to the extent that last year we were the fastest growing economy in the world. Not in Africa, in the world. If you have not invested in the productive sectors of the economy, do you think that you grow in such manner? We've been able to stabilize electricity. Danso, under NDC, there was what we call Danso. It raged on for 5 years, for 4 years. It raged on for 4 years. And in all these 4 years, they could not solve it. All these 4 years, they could not solve it. A government has come and has stabilized the electricity. And then you are saying that all the things that we are doing is not investment. And we are, yes, because we said, listen. We have added a lot of megawatts, but listen, it is not the addition of megawatts that stabilize electricity. Which one? We are saying that if you look at the argument that we made them, we were saying, listen, we said, the argument we were making as at then was that we had the installed capacity to actually, provide our peak demand. And therefore, all the noise about we needed more megawatts to add and all those things. When we came, you had already signed on to some PPEs that were take or pay PPEs that were paying about PPAs that we were paying about 500 million every month, every year, $500 million every year, just because John Mahama, the former President John Mahama and his people decided to sign us onto those obnoxious and unreasonable things. So I'm saying that when we say, because let's allow Saka. When we say, because our argument is now making sound sense, because we said that it was not about installed capacity. Now we have come. We have paid our indebtedness. The West African Pipe Gas Line. Now we have paid them. They no longer refuse us, gas. Now, a turbo gas plant, they will say they built it. But indeed, before Kufuor left office, he had planned for the gas plant. The NDC came, they relocated it and all that, and they even changed the contractor. We had given it to Japanese. They came and then gave it to the Chinese and all that. So we are saying that listen, gas company. Listen, the gas. I've already answered you. So that today we have to import. I've already answered you. We now have connected to the gas. I can appreciate your frustration. No, I'm not frustrated at all. I can appreciate at all. I'm not frustrated at all. They should speak the truth. They should speak the truth. Okay. They should speak the truth. What's the license? No, she's behaving like the people that we created Ghana Gas today. We've managed to connect our electrical power to Ghana Gas, and we are benefiting from. NDC, do you have gas? Do you know what gas is? Gas is a byproduct of the oil. The oil was discovered by the MPP government. There is no country in the world that will produce oil with a gas plant. So it was something the MPP had planned already. So you cannot appropriate it to yourself. Yeah. And I'm saying that when we came, even with the gas and all those things that we have, the price of the gas was still high. No, he's lying. So we had to bring Sankofa. We have to tie Sankofa to the. That was you. We have to tie the Sankofa to who saw the implementation? Who discovered Sankofa? Who discovered Sankofa? Why we discovered it? When Sankofa? When you develop it doesn't mean you discovered it. You see, there are so many wells. There are so many wells that have been discovered, but that needed to be developed. Yeah. So when you come as part of the governance, you decided to develop it. Doesn't mean that you discover it.
In conclusion.
So I'm saying that in all these things, we the MPP government have actually invested in the productive sectors of the economy, and we are still doing it. The person that is making this thing is he saying that by giving free electricity to lifeline consumers, government is being unreasonable? Is he saying that by giving free water to people who need it under such emergency situation? No wonder that when we were confronted with the doomsday that they created, what did he do? He came in 2013. I took them to court. You remember the PRC in 2013 for
under Truth and Accountability Forum.
Under the Truth and Accountability Forum, they in 2013, even under Danso, the NDC government came and increased electricity tariff to 57%. And we say that no, you cannot be that insensitive. The people are already suffering, and then they are not getting the electricity. Then you, on top of that, you came and then load them with another burden by 57%. It was unreasonable. I personally took them to court. So under this government, they are doing this not because government, feel like giving resources to the people, but we are in a situation that the people needed to be taken care of, and then you are saying that we should allow them to go and die. We should allow them to go and battle their own fate when we have a government in place that can ameliorate their suffering. And these people turn around and say that they are social democrats. I think that they are an apology to the name social democrats. The MPP government has been very prudent. We have managed the resources that we are using to give to the Ghanaians. Under your government, you could not even manage the resources. You had eaten the meat up to the bone. And therefore, there was no way they could have given the freebies.
Conclude for me.
And now we are giving the freebies, and then Eyamoya. Then why are you giving freebies?
Thank you very much. Let me come to Benjamin. Benjamin is here. No, I'll come to you. You keep your fire. Let me come to Benjamin.
Kwame, politics should be done with sincerity and truth.
Amen.
Okay. And the moment we begin that way, Ghanaians at least will know that we share their pain in reality, not in kind of emotions and then other things. Now, the truth is that NDC went to IMF. The second truth is that MPP is at IMF. That's the truth.
No, they are two different things.
Oh,
let him make his point. Let him make his point.
It's the same.
Oh, he made his point.
You don't want him to make his point. You want him to make your point. He was quiet. Why
you should not,
He didn't interject.
Two are different.
I didn't interject.
You interjected.
I didn't interject.
He never interjected.
And I told you to.
So let's.
No, you know what? No,
that was tell me to write.
Please.
So that is one. NDC went. MPP are there now. Right, I think they got 1 billion Corona fund or something from IMF now, so they are there.
With no
so
interest, no conditionalities.
No, he will make his point.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yes,
yes, I'm 100% sure.
You are not sure. So go and read that.
I'm sure. I'm telling you.
So now let's move from there. You see,
but you didn't. What is the point that you made that you want to move from?
I made the point that both parties, at one point in time, went to the IMF. Okay. And this current party is at IMF. That's the truth.
That's the point. So move from that point. Okay.
That's the point.
Okay.
Now, the truth also is that this current government owes independent power producers $1.4 billion.
Oh, how?
Yes.
IPP.
Yes.
From when to when?
I think last 3 weeks or 4 weeks, chops. One chamber of independent something, but I think the abbreviation is chops.
But if they owe them 1.something billion,
1.something billion for IPP selling electricity to Ghana.
So why are they not shut us?
So because of that,
they've been sending signals that they will switch off if they are not paid.
Yeah. No. Okay. Make it.
That is the second truth. Now the third truth is that this current government, and that their supplementary budget, where they came that they wanted 11.6 billion Ghana cedis to support their budget. They told us that they could not do infrastructure and other projects because of Corona and these ancillary factors that affect this government.
Absolutely.
So they needed additional money. This additional money was going to increase our deficit from what we know now, which is around 7, which is even more than the capping. You know, the capping should be, the maximum should be 5% under Fiscal Responsibility Act. should be 5%, but this government spends more than 5%.
And now they want to
and
slow down
now they want to
out.
go further to 11.6. Now the law doesn't allow.
The law allows such situation.
Hold on. Hold on. The law allows. That's what the finance minister said.
My brother.
Correct.
My brother.
Yeah, the law allows.
They needed to amend the law in parliament.
No, you don't go to amend the law.
It was amended. It was amended.
I'm saying that you go and then let the
seek
parliamentarians
approval from parliament.
Approval, not amendment.
Yeah.
But the law itself has given room for such a situation.
But the law was very specific. The law was specific that you can't spend below a certain.
No, you can't spend more than 5%.
More than 5%, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm saying that if you
But the law also says that
finance minister spent before
in special situations, you can exceed it.
Okay, you keep that analysis. Let him make a point. Make a point.
So you realize that you owe, and you are borrowing still on our books for some activities, and still, because of populous reasons, you are there telling us that emotionally you are giving certain freebies. No one says giving freebies is not the best thing, but effectively you can give. But efficiently, how is this country called Ghana going to benefit from the freebies you are giving? Bearing in mind that I did environment small, and my environment lecturer, Dr. Bawasimo Chileno at ISE, will tell you that there's nothing called free lunch. And everything must go somewhere else. So the moment you give me freebies, what Ghanaians must know, and I'm telling Ghanaians now, is that MPP government is going to borrow to pay those freebies they are giving you. And you even know why they are giving this free food or free lunch to our...
Tell me.
The thing is that I'm getting correspondence from the regions. Their caterers, the school feeding caterers, came and told from the national security perspective that they have bought food, and because of the corona, these foods are going waste. Right? They are going waste. So, President, please help us. And the president says, oh, okay.
Where are you getting this freaking money?
Where you get yours from? I get mine from different sources. You won't make different sources.
No, he's making his submission. Let him make his submission. Yeah.
So, President, because the food is going waste, let's by all means get a policy so that we can at least cook for the children. And you know, some of these free things, I think you were in Accra, I was in my village in Kintampo. Some of these free things, they don't give us the quality food they are giving us. So this school feeding caterers want to transfer the poor quality, the poor in terms of quality of food they are giving to some of these basic schools to the JHS level. These guys are going to write. They need quality food to eat and write, and quality food must come from their various homes, not what you've been feeding the nursery and the primary schools with, right? But the president heard them, so the president implemented or set this policy on Sunday because he wanted to benefit the school feeding caterers. That's what the president did, and that's the truth Ghanaians must know. Now,
and the caterers are working.
Saka, I'm sure when you're making your submission,
I never
called you a liar.
Okay, I will draw the lies, even though it's true. Even though it's true that he's lying, but I will draw it.
So now, when a government in this current instance where you are borrowing, and you know in the budget we are paying 25 billion to service debt. That 25 billion could have been used for infrastructure, could have been used for industries, but we are using 25 billion to service debt. And still, government that owes much.
We have been.
That owes
our
much.
Debt repayment has been deferred.
Oh my brother!
Which one has been deferred?
We'll
come to that.
Now, a government that owes much, owes more than owing, now goes and says that he's not gone up.
It's like the explanation they give when they borrow. They say that they borrow, but if you look at the percentage, they are not borrowing more.
But on a nominal level, this current government has borrowed more than $100 billion.
Cities. 38 billion.
Cities. So things are going, and you sit and mislead Ghanaians that things are well, and you are giving them free without telling Ghanaians that the free I'm giving you'll be paying triple for them. In the next 2 months or 3 months. So the truth is that MPP government must tell Ghanaians, they should let Ghanaians know that whatever you are enjoying free today, next year you will pay for them. That's what they should be telling Ghanaians. And I want to hear my brother Saka and Co, everybody, that the free electricity you are enjoying, you pay for them.
No, you want them to make you a promise that we are not going to pay.
No. They should tell Ghanaians that Ghanaians will pay.
Okay, you want us to tell them. But now you have mentioned me.
So let me tell Ghanaians.
They are not going to pay a penny. Yes.
Okay.
The government knows how to
directly
how to plug all those.
They will sell our assets to make it up.
What government knows better is borrowing, and borrowing we shall pay.
No, but even the borrowing, that you talk about, it is what it is. The debt portfolio can increase,
it is financial,
but not necessarily borrow. We borrowed up to that amount. You see, because let me tell you, if we borrow 100 because of the depreciation of the dollar, the CD equivalent increases. And then somebody will come and say that we borrowed up to that. It is the dollar term. So if you want to know how much we really borrowed, let's take the dollar.
I like your sincerity in this. I like your sincerity.
What is the sincerity?
But the depreciation was also high. The depreciation was minimal.
Now Saka is telling me, I like his sincerity. He's telling me that the currency is depreciating, and because the currency is depreciating, if they go to the international market and get $1 million next year or next 3 years, based on their poor performance of the currency or exchange rate, they are going to pay $1 million will now be 6 million Ghana cedis. That is what he's telling us. So Ghanaians are going to pay more.
Exactly, but you see,
so Ghanaians are going
but the depreciation is better than the depreciation. Because being depreciated,
I think I've been fair to both of you. Let me listen to
if you end the argument, what is depreciation?
I'll come back.
This is where the country
actually
if you end the conversation on the depreciation of the currency, you lose the true force of what the benefit is to Ghana.
Why?
As it stands, we are spending more in interest payments than capital investment.
Yes.
Basically because we keep borrowing in dollars.
But you people also borrowed more.
No, see, it's not a question of whether
the interest on their borrowing. That is what we have even paid
borrowing.
Because you remember the first 2.25 billion was borrowed to offset the debt that was accrued when you people were ahead.
Yes.
So,
but the question is, what did we do with the money? As a stand, we put in investment.
You get the money to the slave.
We put in investment in assets that also generate incomes, like the airport. Today, as we said,
they are still generating money.
Yes. There are people who have come to Ghana who want to buy the airports. Have you not heard that?
I've heard.
Buying of airports.
The difference between the
Can you imagine that?
As we sit, who are those Turkish?
No.
As we sit here, we've already mortgaged our future royalties for $500 million with that Ejapa project. What the NPP government fails to tell us is who are the shareholders of Ejapa? What, the 500 million. Which sectors is that money going to?
You will see the shareholders.
You hold on.
So what is your problem?
But PPS is an example, so we need to ask these questions.
You have a partnership with the government. Why do you go and set up your business as an offshore company with government of Ghana in tow? That government of Ghana will not benefit taxes from this arrangement.
Absolutely.
The monies you are collect, the 500 million. If the revenues are coming from the mining communities, are we applying the money back in those mining communities? In which case, why should we mortgage so many years of our young people's future for 500 million? When we can as well enter into mining concession agreements with these mining companies, looking at how much profits they make, to work in those assemblies. Currently, what we do is that government collects all the royalties into central government. It doesn't go to the assemblies. Why then don't we change the formula for these mining companies to partner those districts, the local assemblies where they operate, and let them build infrastructure in those areas.
Like what I think we need to have one of this conversation later on with Justice Appeal, because you seem to have a lot of information on this Ejapa business. Let me conclude with you. Let me conclude with you.
Where till I get that topic as a proper topic?
In my conclusion, if a government wants to give freebies, right? Me, I've always maintained that yes, there are vulnerable communities, there are poor communities who may need government assistance. And when government is going to give freebies, you look efficiently, you have to look at yourself. Can I? Will I be able? Will there be any repercussion when I give out? Right? When you do all these simulations and understand these things carefully, you only can do, and that is what I think under President Kufuor, they started this LEAP project.
Yeah, livelihood empowerment against poverty.
you have to identify some of these households that are very, very vulnerable and assist them.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, Ghanaians are going to pay. So we don't want Ghanaians to pay much.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think that on the basis of this sleep, I think that whichever government is listening, if they want to win the elections, they need to come out with a policy that will be paying the vulnerable in society, and then the elderly, in society, and then women, single parents, women who have given birth to 1 or 2 children, single parents who don't have any, they should be paying them every month 100 Ghana cedis every month, and then the old folks 100 Ghana cedis.
So that you can now create more single women.
No, I'm saying that some of the it's not deliberate, isn't it? But I'm saying that sometimes it's just some of them are victims of circumstance, and I'm saying that even a small country like Rwanda is paying. In fact, America,
we might end up having half of the.
You want to progress, but you want to be like America, but you don't want to implement.
We might end up giving half of the women.
So the old folks, like our grandmothers and things like that, who are not on snakes.
They are on the lip.
They are not on the lip. Go and check out. Massa, don't come and tell me that thing. Don't come.
They are on lip because
go and check because
how much households. And then those people are part of those households.
No. As make an they make an
I think leap is 300,000.
Don't mind this man. He's there talking about leap. What has leap achieved? KOD tell Saka to if he doesn't want to be ridiculed by the facts of this country. Doom so was meant to occur because successive governments failed to increase the national grid after Osajifo built the Akosombo Dam. Our consumption increased that every room is furnished with TVs, freezers, fans, and etc. Due to technology advancement in this modern era. Alfred from 2nd D sent in this one. You call Alfred a liar? Don't do that, please. Kwame, why are you allowing this MPP man to be interjecting like that? Johnny from Adenta. This one says, good morning to you, KOD. It's up to Ghanaians to know that NDC and MPP are the opposite sides to the same coin and must be thrown into the trash. They have nothing new to offer Ghanaians. It's high time we try another political party, and I'm suggesting the CPP. Rutman from Sunyane. They told us that they told us that Ghana has more money, so why should the NDC government be borrowing? But now the MPP government is borrowing from left, right, and center, and they are not even ashamed of defending it. God is watching them. From Cephas in Sogakope. David from Amahia says, KOD, MPP gives money to health workers, doctors money, teachers fake food. Why not money? Teachers, sit up and vote wisely. We are not hungry. We need cash in our pockets.
He's not a teacher.
KOD asked Sakasalia, if your father built a house, put everything in it, including power for you to use, will you say you have done better than your father by paying the bills of the power you used? Ask Saka, is Dr. Baumiano responsible for the economic management team? So who is to blame for the cedi depreciation? Good morning to you, Kwame. They told us that they have more money in this country, so we don't need to borrow. Today, they have borrowed more than any government in the history of this country. Nana Kwame from Ablekuma West. Good morning to you. Tell the MPP man that it was Kwame Nkrumah that discovered oil in Ghana. Then Rollins came to continue, followed by Kufuor. So it wasn't Kufuor that discovered oil in Ghana. Marcel from Agbogba.
In commercial quantity.
Yeah, but
I said oil in commercial quantity.
Hi Kwame. There is a popular saying, if Satan gives you one, he takes double. And that's what the MPP government is doing. So the people of this country should be very careful of President Akufo-Addo. Kobe from Fijai. There is nothing working under this MPP government. They've borrowed more than any government since independence, and still there's nothing going on. We, the youth of this country, are learning sense now. And by hook or crook, we are voting out Nana Kelly from Agona Swedro. Please, we are not enjoying the program. Where are the said MPP men? The rate at which borrowing is going on, if care is not taken, this corrupt and super incompetent MPP government will mortgage this country. Your name is Asanko from Santa Maria. Pan-African TV, this is Zach from Yendi. God bless you. You are doing an excellent job for Ghana. Thank you. I would suggest we do free technical education than what we are doing now. A word to the wise is enough. Good morning to you, KOD. Please tell Saka to behave. John from Wale Wale. Please tell Saka to speak the truth. I'm Kwesi Amanyi from 2nd D. Saka is speaking the truth from his perspective. Please tell the MPP man to stop deceiving us on free electricity. I bought 30 Ghana cedis prepaid 3 days ago. Today and this morning, my prepaid has finished for me to go and buy again. So where is the free electricity the MPP man is talking about? They should give us a break. I know of free water, but not free electricity, please. No, Sherry from Koforidia sent. Sherry from Koforidia. Ghana is turning into something else. How can Nana give health workers allowances and promise teachers a hot meal? Your message is very long, but Mafi, what's your name again? Oliver from Mafi Kumasi sent in this one. KO, the MPP is only interested in areas where they will pocket, therefore they are deceiving Ghanaians from Kwesi Tapa, Abotwase, Biakoye district. MPP is worried about Bahama, saying that he will pay assemblymen if he comes to power. Nanado did things, okay, it's not quite clear. Next time, please make it a little clearer. Politics has something positively over people not getting down to the nitty-gritty of budgeting and preconceived ideas that I wanted to put up was a derivative of his policy, so we should allow him to do and stop arguing. Good morning to you, Championship. Please tell Saka to speak the truth for once. Ghanaians are discerning enough to read in between the lines. God is watching and will judge all of us. Long live Pan-African TV, long live Ghana. Kelvin Chris from Takrady sent in this message. Is Saka saying that the Atuabo gas is a productive venture? Can they tell us of theirs? Stephen from Insuta Buem. My time is up. Good morning to Champion. Mustafa Jirapa, your message is quite harsh. I can't read it. Good morning. I'm enjoying your show and how perfectly you are moderating the show. Tell Mr. Saka to respect the former president. Okay, my deep thoughts. Okay, all right. Deep thought from a lady now from where I sent in this one. He said I shouldn't bring Saka Salia on my show. From Emmanuel in Pankrono. Emmanuel. Also, what they Abba Enono. Please ask Saka to show us the results of the investment in the agricultural sector as compared to NDC's investment. Amos sent this one, and to be honest, 7.8%. This one says, I'm disappointed. This one says, I'm disappointed in the host, Kwame, for letting the MPP man get away with a slave queen comment. Nasir, I'm not sure you watched the show. Samson from Tabora says, good morning to Pan-African television. Following national discourses, I have come to the realization that there are a few knowledgeable and well-meaning politicians and technocrats in our body politic, and all of them are in the Nkrumah's parties, one of which has won major elections in the Fourth Republic dispensation. As for the rest, they are just a bunch of liars, thieves, nation wreckers, goes on and on and on and on. Samson from Tabora. Good morning to you, Mr. Host. Tell Saka Salia that to continue tell Saka, my good friend, to continue to evangelize the good work of MPP. At appropriate time, we shall all shall come to pass. Jerry from Great Timpani sent in this one. Okay. I'm happy I found this message. Otherwise, all the messages are bashing Saka. Book no lie. Saka Salia, read this. According to the Ghana Health Service documented title, Health Service in Ghana, Facts and Figures 2018, of which forward was written and signed by the MPP's own Dr. Anthony Nsiasare. The John Mohammed's administration employed the largest number of nurses in recent times. He increased the number of nurses from 41,480 to from 11,125 in 2012 to 52,605 by the time he left office in 2016. Togbi Gemega from Keta says, Kwame, I think Saka should not talk again. He's making us hate MPP the more. Tell the MPP man to make sure that they pay our money. We are with GN Bank. Okay, my time is up. Messages are a lot. I can't read all of them. Thank you, Saka. Thank you, Gabriella. Thank you, my good friend Benjamin. Thank you, too, for watching today's edition of Good Morning Africa. My name remains Kwame Owusu. So there's going to be a repeat of The Couch, an interview with the very good professor, Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. She was hosted by Amma Pratt on The Couch. Watch this particular interview and familiarize yourself with her. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.